When the torrential rain doomsday arrived, my mom and I hid on the top floor, growing vegetables, raising chickens, and eating hot pot. In my previous life, my uncle's family seized the property my dad left behind and kicked us out of the house. In this life, I'm taking the safe house. I will be eating steak and drinking red wine, watching them struggle pathetically in the apocalypse. Outside the window, a light rain was falling, covering the city in a dismal, foggy gray. The weather forecast sounded. We interrupt this broadcast for an emergency disaster bulletin. Due to continuous extreme rainstorms and upstream flood discharges, the flood water levels in City A and surrounding areas continue to rise. The room was dim, with only a trace of light coming from the TV screen. On the broadcast, a frontline reporter wearing a raincoat was struggling to sit on a rubber boat. The pouring rain blurred the figures in the distance. Suddenly, the room lit up brightly. Pai, why didn't you turn on the lights? At the entryway, Mom took off her raincoat and turned on the living room light. Mom put down her plastic bags and walked towards the kitchen. I just ran into your aunt downstairs. They are worried the first floor will be too noisy and asked if they could temporarily move into our place. I furrowed my brows and looked at Mom, unable to tell if this was a dying flashback or reality. I certainly hadn't forgotten. When your dad's workplace allocated this house, your uncle was so jealous, he manipulated your grandparents behind our backs, saying your cousin needed a house in the school district, forcing your dad to transfer the property to their name first. Later, after your dad passed away, he bullied the two of us, never mentioning changing the name back on the deed, making us mother and daughter. Feel like we were living under someone else's roof. Mom grumbled while preparing the vegetables. Oh, now they think the first floor isn't good and want to take over our house again. A plastic bag rustled as the cat played with it. I suddenly snapped out of my daze, my vision refocusing. A fluffy little kitten was walking towards me. Doo-doo, I hugged the kitten tightly. In my previous life, my uncle's family even used Doo-doo to threaten me, and eventually, ignoring my pleas, they threw Doo-doo into the floodwaters. Doo-doo, in this life, Mom will definitely protect you all. Pai, Mom looked at me in confusion. What's wrong? Did something happen? I pursed my lips and shook my head. I remembered in my past life when the heavy rain poured down and the flood spread. The water level quickly swallowed the stairs. My uncle's family, living on the first floor, begged relentlessly. Out of familial duty, Mom finally agreed to let them move in to take shelter. But on the second day after moving in, they forcefully occupied our home, claiming that since Uncle's name was on the deed, the house rightfully belonged to them. They forcibly kicked Mom and me out. Fortunately, I had been cautious and hid most of our supplies beforehand. Later, Mom contacted my maternal uncle, hearing that we had a lot of food. He immediately agreed to take us in. So, we risked wading through the floodwaters with our supplies to get to his residential complex. Maternal uncle's family lived on a high floor, so they didn't have to worry about the flood reaching them. But as the rain continued, the water level stayed high, and the rescue teams were delayed. The food we brought quickly ran out. Drinking water became especially scarce. One day, my seemingly kind maternal uncle held my hand and said, Pai, our food is gone. The neighbors agreed to give us 1 bottle of mineral water if you agree to marry their mentally disabled son. As soon as he said this, Mom and maternal uncle broke into a fierce argument. Seeing that their plan wouldn't succeed easily, cousin Giabo turned ruthless and pushed Mom out the window. Mom's frail body was instantly swallowed by the floodwaters. I fell to my knees, desperately kowtowing to them, begging them to save my mom. Pai, We didn't mean to do this. It's your mom's fault for being careless. Standing so close to the window is dangerous, you know. Yeah, Pai. Look, your mom is gone now. But you have to survive, even though the neighbor's son is disabled. He knows how to treat a woman well. His family will surely make sure you eat and drink. If you marry him, you won't have to starve and suffer with us. What happened today was just an accident. No one knows how many people have died in this flood. If you just obey, you might still have a chance to live. Otherwise, looking at their ugly, hypocritical faces, I steeled my heart and jumped into the violent waves. Upstairs, Cousin Giabo poked his head out, surprised but filled with disdain. Why be so stubborn? He's just a retard. We fed them for so long. These two are such ungrateful wretches. They should have died long ago. What's wrong, honey? Did something happen? I glanced at the date. It was exactly the eve of the unprecedented rainstorm. There were only 8 hours left until the torrential rain and the ensuing flood. Mom didn't know the reason, her eyes full of concern. I shook my head at her. In this life, I won't let their despicable schemes succeed. And those who persecuted us mother and daughter, I will not let them off either. Mom, I need to go out to handle something. Don't worry, I'll be back before dinner. I'm looking forward to your garlic vermicelli pot. Leaving the house, I drove to maternal uncle's residential complex. This was one of the few high-rise residential areas in the city. Years ago, when housing prices skyrocketed, many people bought units here as investments. So many high-floor apartments were left vacant after being sold, after the flood hit. Many low-floor residents survived only by moving to these higher floors. Hello. Is this the owner of the 26th floor unit? I want to rent it and move in within these few days. Is it convenient to view the apartment today? We can sign the contract at the same time. Sure. Hearing someone was willing to rent his vacant high-floor unit. The joy on the other end of the phone was hard to conceal. I live nearby. When are you coming over? I'll go open the door for you outside the car window. The rain was getting heavier. Right now, I'm almost there, arriving at the building's entrance. A man holding a phone was looking around. When he saw me, he waved and greeted me. The landlord had wide, round eyes. I thought he might hike up the price, but unexpectedly, he changed the subject. That place hasn't been lived in for a while. If you're in a hurry, I'll call a cleaner right now to tidy it up. I was slightly taken aback. Replying, sorry for the trouble, I'll pay for the cleaning fee. No, it's just a small amount, no need to be polite with me. The landlord was very straightforward. So I didn't insist on being overly polite either. The elevator slowly ascended, passing the 25th floor where my maternal uncle lived. Beside me, the landlord said, all the home appliances are fully equipped. Cooking, washing clothes, everything is convenient. Take a look around in a bit. If anything is broken, I'll call someone to fix it immediately. I nodded. However, I knew perfectly well that when the flood wreaked havoc, the entire area would immediately lose water and power, rendering those appliances useless. So, compared to those things, I cared much more about the rooftop space. The landlord and I arrived at the 26th floor. At the hallway entrance, I touched the floor's security door. Very sturdy, I'm in the steel business, so I welded it myself. With this blocking the way, no one else can come up. Anyway, the apartment opposite hasn't been sold yet, so we are the only unit on this floor. The landlord noticed me constantly observing the security door and said, Sister, if you think it's ugly, I can have someone take it down tomorrow. I smiled and said, No need, I think it's great. It gives a sense of security just looking at it. Of course, your brother here is a professional, opening the apartment door. The interior decoration was simple. The balcony connected to the living room was very spacious. The clouds and mist were exceptionally clear outside the floor-to-ceiling windows. Bro, I want to go up to the roof to take a look. Sure. Just then, he received a phone call. He then said to me, the cleaner is here. I'll go greet them. Sister, you go ahead and look around. The roof entrance exclusively connected to the 26th floor. Pushing the door open, a blast of cold air hit my face. Dark clouds covered the sky above. I suddenly thought that growing vegetables on the roof during the apocalypse might be a pretty good idea. Under natural disasters, continuous rainy days would cause foods that normally store well to quickly mold and rot. If I could plant some shade-tolerant, disease-resistant crops and stagger their harvest cycles, I could secure a stable and diverse food source. Coming down from the roof, I immediately signed the lease with the landlord and paid half a year's rent. I transferred him another sum of money. Since you work with steel, I'd like to ask another favor. Could you build a rain canopy for me? The sooner the better. No problem, the landlord took the money and readily agreed. I'll use steel plates to weld a slanted canopy for you later to help with drainage, while waiting for the canopy to be built. I went to the farmer's market. Spinach, water spinach, and bok choy seeds 50 packs of each, 100 lettuce seedlings, also straw mushrooms, and oyster mushroom spores, 10 packs of each. These were all short-term crops suitable for rainy weather, ready to harvest within 30 days, and could be harvested multiple times. To support crop growth, I also ordered organic fertilizer and nutrient solutions from the store, and had the merchant deliver them all to the rental address. Passing by the vegetable fields, I bought some fresh vegetables from nearby farmers, along with 2 large sacks of fertile soil. I also found some discarded foam boxes at a nearby courier station to use as containers for hydroponic lettuce. While waiting for the elevator, I suddenly heard Cousin Giabo's voice. I quickly hid in the stairwell, peeking through the crack. I saw Cousin Giabo and maternal uncle walking side by side. Dad, call my aunt when you have time these next few days. That's rare, caring about your aunt so much. Cousin Giabo chuckled, saying, it's because I miss Pai. I told you to keep in touch with her more often. She is a highly educated girl. You never know when she might be of help to us. I know. Actually, I want to introduce Pai to my boss. Your boss? Maternal uncle was confused. Isn't he almost 50 and divorced? The child lives with his ex-wife. My promotion assessment is this year. Whether I pass or not is entirely up to him. If Pai gets together with him, wouldn't it make things easier for me? Look at how much I've been working overtime these weekends. I'm exhausted, maternal uncle hesitated. But that man is a bit old. Pai is only in her early 20s. Your aunt probably won't agree. He's a millionaire. If he takes a fancy to Pai, my aunt should be thanking her lucky stars, Cousin Giabo said with a face full of disdain. Besides, my aunt only has one daughter. A married daughter is like spilled water. Since she won't have a son, who will take care of her in her old age, she'll still have to rely on her own nephew. Hearing his son's words, maternal uncle laughed. That's my son, stepping up to take responsibility. Since you have this intention, when Pai gets married, I'll discuss it with your aunt and have her save Pai's bride price. To add an extra sum for you to marry a wife, in my previous life, it was precisely because of this phone call that Mom mistakenly thought maternal uncle's family genuinely cared about us. Because of this, we didn't look for a new place in time, and instead brought everything we owned to seek refuge with them. I had thought it was the desperate situation that brought out the evil in human hearts. I never expected that behind our backs they had already treated me as a bargaining chip to be plotted against. Since that's the case, the benefits Cousin Giabo spoke of back then, he can enjoy them all by himself in this life. There are still 3 hours left until the torrential rainstorm. When the storm hits, the rainfall will reach 1,000 millimeters overnight, and floods will submerge the entire area. Neighborhoods below the 6th floor will turn into an ocean. In extreme situations, rainwater can be used as a source of drinking water, but it must be strictly treated, otherwise, it may contain bacteria, viruses, chemical pollutants, or particles. Drinking it directly could lead to disease. In my past life, aside from drowning and starvation, many people died from viral infections and high fevers caused by drinking unfiltered, unsterilized rainwater. Some even died. To ensure the safety of our drinking water, I went to a bottled water company and ordered 500 large bottles of water. I also bought a ceramic water filter system, 50 bottles of household bleach, and 50 bottles of sulfur dioxide disinfectant tablets as a reserve. To be safe, I also went to the pharmacy and bought medicines to treat diarrhea, colds, and fevers. I also stocked up on a few bottles of mom's blood pressure medication. Besides planting vegetables on the roof, we needed to hoard moisture-proof food and sealed instant meals at home. 10 boxes of vacuum-sealed compressed biscuits, 50 boxes of instant noodles, 100 cans of meat, and 50 cans each of vegetables and fruits. 5 cases each of carbonated drinks and sports drinks. 20 bags each of dried shiitake mushrooms and dried yuba, and 10 bags each of kelp and seaweed, plus some natural preservatives, moisture-resistant coconut oil, high-sugar foods like 10 jars of honey, and 20 bags of candied fruits. The coming flood would damage gas pipelines, extremely likely causing gas leaks. The gas stove at home would be unusable, so I bought a portable cassette stove and gas canisters. Before long, food and drinking water took up more than half of the living room space. Only the 2 bedrooms were left for free movement. Looking at the bed in the bedroom, I recalled my previous life. When Mom and I were staying at maternal uncle's house, we laid on the damp floor every day, with only a few thin layers of bedsheets spread underneath us. The agonizing dampness permeated the walls, floors, and furniture, sprouting mold patches. Every single moment of sleep was completely uncomfortable. So, I bought 10 boxes of bamboo charcoal and 50 caddies of quicklime, placing them everywhere in the rooms to keep them as dry and livable as possible. Now, the hoard in the rented apartment was enough for Mom and me to eat and drink. But even so, having experienced the tragedy of my past life, I still couldn't feel entirely at ease. Just in case, I bought 2 sets of life jackets and life buoys, a rubber boat, and a 50-meter-long rope for emergency escape. I also bought 3 battery-powered surveillance cameras, 1 installed on the roof, 1 at the security door, and the last one I packed in my bag to take home. With all this prepared, I gave Mom a call. At this moment, there were only 40 minutes left until the rainstorm. As soon as I reached the building entrance, I saw Uncle's door wide open, with clanging and banging noises inside as they moved things. Pai is back. My aunt saw me and hurriedly pulled me over. We were just about to go find you guys. Is something the matter? Isn't there a rainstorm warning? Every time it rains, our first floor gets so damp and humid. It's unlivable. It's perfect that your place is on a higher floor, and it's just you and your mom, if anything happens. Having us there will be a big help too, and always like to strike a benevolent pose, taking advantage of others under the guise of being considerate. No thanks, our house can't fit that many people. How can it not fit? It's a 2-bedroom. Your uncle and your cousin will take 1 room, and the 3 of us will take the other. If you feel it's too cramped, you can sleep on the living room sofa. That's fine too. It won't be in the way. What absolute shamelessness. Living in my house and making me sleep on the sofa? They really treat themselves as the masters. I shook off her hand and said, "Aunt, you should stop making assumptions on your own, you girl. How can you be so cold-hearted?" Seeing I was showing no mercy, Aunt's expression changed. We are your elders after all. Speaking with such lack of upbringing. The name on that property deed is your uncle's. Logically, it is our family's house. I was just giving you face by asking you. And now you're being ungrateful. Hearing the argument, cousin came out from the house. Rushing over. Why are you arguing? Cousin glared at me and said, you are so immature. Just listen to whatever your elders say to you. Why talk back? If it weren't for the fact you're my younger cousin, with the attitude you're giving my mom, I would have hit you already. Cousin had been unemployed since graduating high school, relying entirely on his parents. All he knew all day was playing video games and watching live streams. Last year, because he tipped a female streamer, he went into debt. It wasn't until the bank's collection notices were sent home that uncle realized he had taken a loan to tip the streamer to 100,000 yuans. A guy whose lower half controls his brain actually has the nerve to yell at me. I glanced at him and sneered, no matter how immature I am, I wouldn't take out loans to tip streamers. As soon as I said this, cousin's face turned green. He probably never expected that his dirty little secret had been blabbed by his big-mouthed mother. You damn girl. Why are your words so vicious? Exposing your cousin's faults, and, feeling guilty, pushed me away and raised her voice. All you know is gossiping blindly all day. You're just hoping our family falls apart. With this attitude of yours, no wonder no man wants you. That was all the attack power Aunt had. In her eyes, a woman without a man is the most pathetic thing, and having no man is a punishment for being a bad woman. You can't even argue with people like this. Ignoring their cursing and complaining, I just went upstairs. Back home, Mom had already prepared hot, steaming food. The dining table looked exceptionally warm under the soft light. Pai, I've packed everything. You mentioned on the phone that we're moving. Where are we going? Have you found a place? Yeah, after we eat. We'll sneak out. Let's not let anyone know. Moving out is good, but Mom hesitated. If we leave, your uncle's family will definitely try everything to move into our house, then let them have it. I happen to have a score to settle with them. I pulled out the property deed. The name on it was shockingly my uncle's. I would use this perfect opportunity to make uncle's family spit out everything they took from us. Under the cover of night, we moved into the rental apartment. Opening the door, Mom was startled by the hoard of supplies I had accumulated. The upcoming period will be extremely tough. Mom, the situation with these supplies absolutely cannot be leaked to anyone. It will definitely bring massive trouble. Seeing my solemn expression, Mom couldn't help but feel tense too. Okay, Mom will listen to you. Outside the window, a bolt of lightning pierced the dark night. The previously fine rain instantly turned into fist-sized drops, smashing heavily onto the roof, windows, and ground. The chaotic noise sounded like marbles falling, crackling and popping, almost deafening. I held Mom's hand tightly. The rainstorm disaster had arrived. The rain was ferocious, violently smashing as if to break through everything. The plants and flowers along the streets instantly withered. The drainage systems were running at full capacity, yet they were utterly powerless. In less than half a day, the ground was submerged in water. The traffic lights at the intersections became pixelated behind the rain curtain. Traffic crawled slowly in the congestion. Pedestrians coming and going couldn't help but stagger, wading carefully through the rainwater while also dodging floating sharp branches to avoid getting cut. With neighboring city A as a cautionary tale, panic spread immediately. Calls for school suspensions and staying at home exploded across the internet. Supermarkets were a chaotic mess. Footprints and shopping cart tracks were everywhere. People lining up to check out jammed the cashier counters. Early next morning, Mom was woken up by a phone call. Who is it? Aunt's voice came through the phone. Are you guys home? I signaled Mom to turn on the speakerphone and then opened the surveillance camera I had installed at our old door. The footage on the phone showed Uncle's family, carrying bags big and small, blocking our old front door. Mom asked, "What is it? Isn't it because of the rain? Our first floor is flooded. We want to take shelter at your place first. Hurry and open the door." And, "I already told you our place can't fit that many people," seeing we weren't opening the door. Aunt grew anxious and slammed her hands on the main door. "Pai, a young girl like you shouldn't be so malicious. We are your family, how can you just leave us to die? Mom, move aside." Cousin fiercely kicked the front door. "You damn girl, is it your place to speak? Are you going to open the door or not? If you don't, I'll beat you to death." Mom was startled and was about to try and persuade them, but I stopped her. "Cousin, save your strength." I looked at Uncle, who was standing at the back of the camera frame. "Uncle, say something. Stop playing mute behind your wife and son." The most disgusting thing about Uncle's family wasn't the sharp-tongued aunt or the barbaric, brainless cousin, but this uncle who hid behind his parents, brothers and wife, acting like a parasite his whole life. Hearing my words, Uncle pushed the two aside and walked to the door. "Your dad was useless. Had a girl and then died, leaving no heir to continue our Chen family's bloodline, which is considered a grave unfilial act. As a female dependent, you are overbearing and unreasonable, completely failing to observe the duties of a daughter. To actually treat your closest kin with such an attitude. If you ask me, you don't even deserve to be on our Chen family's genealogy tree." Listening to him incessantly listing my supposed crimes, I couldn't help but let out a mocking laugh. This man really loves putting on a dramatic show. "My family can't compare to you, Uncle. You have one foot in the grave, yet you still have to pay off your son's debts. It seems having a strong bloodline really is good. You don't even dare to die. Every day when you open your eyes, you're just wiping his ass." Uncle was choked speechless. Furious, he asked, "What exactly do you want before you open the door? Don't play dumb. Whose name is on my house's deed? You haven't forgotten, have you, Uncle? So this was your scheme. I watched you grow up. I never imagined I'd be blackmailed by my own niece during a crisis today." Beside me, Mom rolled her eyes at them. "Scoundrels. We helped them out of the kindness of our hearts, and they really treat the house as theirs." After a long while, Uncle spoke up. "Fine, I promise you. Once the storm is over, I'll go with you to transfer the property deed." Hearing him say this, I let out a long sigh. "Do you think I'm an idiot? A promise is only yours when it's firmly in your hands. Empty promises like this have no legal effect whatsoever. To tell you the truth, I've already contacted the municipal notary office. In a moment, we will do a remote video notarization. Just get your ID ready." Due to the continuous rainstorm, public transportation was suspended. I had contacted the notary office responsible for the property beforehand, explained the force majeure situation, and applied for remote video processing. Seeing there was no way around it, Uncle finally broke down in exasperation. "You girl, you're truly ruthless." Cousin threw a tantrum. "Dad, let's not beg her, we'll go live outside." "Unfilial son," he slapped him. "Where does our family have the money to stay outside? If it weren't for you staying home all day, only knowing how to spend money and taking out loans to tip those damn streamers, your mom and I wouldn't be in this situation." Uncle had suppressed his anger at the family's only heir for years, and finally exploded at this moment, scolding him mercilessly. "Do you think we have any other way out? Who among the relatives isn't terrified of borrowing from us? How could anyone take us in?" After saying that, Uncle turned to point fingers at Aunt. "And you. All you know is how to spoil him. Look at how you've spoiled this child. He's 30 years old, and all he knows all day is lying in bed demanding food and drink. Chen, what do you mean by that? Aunt exploded too, shouting at the top of her lungs. Is he only my child? Having his dark history exposed in public, Uncle roared with a flushed face. What's the point of bringing up the past now? Oh my God! Weren't you the one who blamed me first? Now you're acting like I'm the one digging up the past? Chen, since the day I married into your family, have I ever enjoyed a single day of happiness? Do you dare pat your chest and say you haven't wronged me? How have I wronged you? Look at yourself. Giving birth to such a useless thing for our Chen family, the surveillance feed instantly descended into chaos. Enough. I don't have time to listen to your family drama. Let's handle the business first. You can argue however you want afterwards. Silence fell on the other end for a long time. Uncle let out a long sigh. Is there really no room for negotiation? Cut the crap. I'm just taking back what's mine. Uncle, stop acting like you're the victim while the power and internet were still working. Uncle and I completed the online property transfer. The house was officially transferred to my name. Now you can let us in, right? Of course, I smiled. Feigning innocence, but unfortunately, nobody's home. After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. On the camera monitor, Uncle's family frantically threw things at the door, but it was useless. Your uncle and his family are probably going to pass out from anger. Mom couldn't help but exclaim, serves him right, who told him to talk badly about Dad, now that Uncle's family was dealt with. There was still another score to settle. However, they will probably come looking for us soon. Mom, if maternal uncle contacts you, just say that for our safety, we temporarily moved here and didn't have time to prepare anything. Why can't we even tell your maternal uncle? Mom tried to soothe me, saying, look, the clothes and toys from when you were little were all bought by your maternal uncle, and your cousin Jiabo, he loved playing with you the most when you were kids. Besides me, they are the people who love you most in the world. Hearing these words, my brows furrowed tightly. Is that so? Yeah. No matter what happens, they are your family. They would absolutely never harm you. Right then, Mom's phone rang. It was maternal uncle calling. Have you eaten yet? I heard there's a heavy rainstorm coming to the town. Many old neighborhoods have flooded. How are things on your side? Jiabo even said if things get really bad, you guys should move into our place first. Jiabo has a good heart. Still worrying about his aunt and younger cousin at a time like this, Mom glanced at me and still followed my advice. Cautiously replying, actually, we found an apartment in your building and just moved in. We didn't have time to prep anything. Why didn't you tell us earlier? I would have had Jiabo drive over to pick you up. That works too. From now on you can come over to eat at our place. Hearing this, I immediately chimed in, sure. Sorry to trouble you, Uncle and Cousin Jiabo. As soon as we entered, maternal uncle pulled me into a chat. How has Pai Pai been lately? Is work going smoothly? It's alright, that's good. Once things stabilize, you should think about finding a partner. For a girl, getting married is still the most important thing. Just as expected, their true motives are revealed so quickly. Our Pai Pai is a good girl, find someone stable early on. Get married, have kids, and your mom's biggest wish will be fulfilled, won't it? I played along with him. Sighing deeply, yeah, but I'm just too busy usually. I don't have the chance to meet anyone. Seeing this, maternal uncle struck while the iron was hot. Perfect timing. Your cousin Jiabo's workplace has many outstanding young men. I told him he has to keep a good eye out for his little sister. If there's anyone suitable, we should keep the goodies within the family. Mom spoke politely. We should thank Jiabo for worrying so much about Pai Pai. He only has Pai Pai as his one younger cousin. Of course he cares. A few days ago, he was telling me his boss is a really excellent talent capable, with great character, and distinguished in every way. If Pai can get along with him, she'd enjoy a life of luxury. Really? Mom's gaze turned toward me, asking for my opinion. I smiled and asked, "He's that great? How old is he?" Upon hearing me ask about his age, maternal uncle, who was just talking non-stop, suddenly started stammering. "Well, I didn't ask in detail. He's probably in his 30s, I'm not entirely sure. After all, to sit in a leadership position, one must have some life experience. He's in his 30s and still hasn't married. Could he be a strict bachelor, or maybe he actually has a family but hasn't made it public?" Faced with my continuous questioning, the speech maternal uncle had prepared got stuck in his throat. "No, I don't think so. Anyway, he's definitely single. Your cousin is clear about this, that might not be true. If someone intentionally wants to hide these things, they definitely can. Who knows if he's divorced? Or if he already has kids?" Cousin Jiabo was carrying dishes out from the kitchen. Hearing my words, he hurriedly set down the plate and came over. "It's a setup by your own cousin, and you're still worried? He is a millionaire. What kind of woman can't he get? It's all because he trusts me and thinks the girls in our family must be excellent that he asked me to play matchmaker." I didn't know if it was out of guilt, but Cousin Jiabo's tone was noticeably agitated. And, if you ask me, taking advantage of the fact that Pai is young now, she should meet more people. Once she becomes an older leftover woman, it'll be hard to be picky. By then, no matter what kind of man she meets, she'll have to settle. Hearing this, Mom became somewhat unhappy. She is still young, let her prioritize her career first. Moreover, I couldn't bear to see her marry so early. Let's wait a bit longer. The atmosphere grew a bit stiff. Maternal uncle began to smooth things over. That makes sense too. Pai just graduated and wants to strive for a few years on her own. Hearing too much of this from family can get annoying. How about this? I'll have Jiabo keep an eye out for Pai. Whenever she wants to date, let her cousin introduce someone. But then again, sometimes, once you miss the village, you won't find the shop. When an opportunity presents itself, as elders, we still need to help the child grasp it. After eating, we headed back to the 26th floor. Halfway there, I told Mom I forgot to grab my phone. Mom accompanied me back to fetch it. Just as we reached the door, we heard Cousin Jiabo's voice from inside. What is she thinking? I was straightforward with her. That's my boss. Pai will marry someone eventually. Why doesn't my aunt consider my situation at all? Pai just graduated from college. What a suitable resource. Her family has no brothers. So many people are eagerly eyeing families with no male heirs to exploit. The one I'm introducing is better than those guys. My boss will definitely take a liking to her. My promotion assessment is coming up soon. If he can help me out, I'd be grateful to him too. Sigh. These things can't be rushed. Have a good talk with your aunt another day, maternal uncle advised. Right. I told them your boss is in his 30s, don't let it slip. If your aunt finds out the man is even older than her, she definitely wouldn't want to meet him. Don't even mention it. You see how my aunt is, not siding with me at all. Better not invite them over again. 2 more mouths to feed just adds trouble to our family. One night passed, and the rainstorm intensified. The water level had already reached the 3rd floor. The entire area lost water, power, and communications. Transportation came to a complete standstill. Many low-floor residents began migrating to higher floors. Residents poked their heads out the windows. Their tones mixed with unease. This is too terrifying. We can't even see the ground anymore. I heard the upstream reservoir couldn't hold it. And after releasing the floodwaters, the water level will rise even higher. People below the 6th floor definitely can't stay. They have to move up. If I had known, I would have bought a top-floor unit back then. I'm dead tired. Inside the house, I cooked bowls of noodles. Mom, with red, teary eyes, said, I don't have much of an appetite. You should eat more. Yesterday, I intentionally made up an excuse to make Mom realize their true colors. At that moment, hearing Cousin Giabo and maternal uncle's words, she trembled with anger, wanting to rush in and argue with them, but I held her back tightly and dragged her home. At night, Mom couldn't stop sobbing, heartbroken. Why did they turn out like that? Though my heart ached for Mom, I knew perfectly well, whether it was sorrow or disappointment, anything is better than losing one's life. I pushed the bowl in front of her, saying, Mom, you only have strength to work if you're full. Mom looked at me in confusion. Work, the food at home is limited, and the plants on the roof are far from enough. We need to grow more vegetables. Hearing this, a trace of joy finally appeared on Mom's face. That's great, I love growing my own vegetables. If we hadn't left in such a hurry, I would have brought the 2 little tomato plants from home. The rain canopy on the roof was very sturdy. The rainwater poured out along the windows, completely unaffected inside. The filter was installed at the mouth of the rainwater collection pipe. Gathering the filtered rainwater into buckets allowed us to use it for watering the soil and crops. Mom and I filled the planters with soil together, added plant ash, mixed in the fertilizer evenly, and watered it thoroughly with the filtered rainwater. Then we buried the spinach, bok choy, and water spinach seeds that had been soaked in warm water to sprout. We covered it with a thin layer of fine soil to fill the gaps. Bok choy would start showing seedlings in 5 to 7 days, spinach in 2 weeks. And water spinach would need top dressing in half a month, and could be harvested in a month. There were also the 20 mushroom spawn bags, which we opened and placed by the wall, waiting for them to sprout. A week passed, and the community group chat was still peaceful. When the rainstorm wasn't severe yet, everyone had stockpiled some goods to varying degrees, and now they encouraged each other, believing rescue supplies would eventually arrive, seeing some people willing to pay high prices for cigarettes, food, and mineral water. A single bottle of water could sell for 50 or even 100, some greedy individuals hurriedly sold off their resources, entirely unaware that in the near future cigarettes, food, and water would be the hard currency for survival in the apocalypse. Over the past few days, maternal uncle would occasionally ask how we were doing. To avoid arousing suspicion, I told him we bought some food from others at a high price, brushing him off several times. Gradually, the messages in the group chat offering high prices for stockpiled food increased, while fewer and fewer people responded. Does anyone still have stored food? I'll pay 1,000. No, 2,000. Anything is fine, as long as it's edible. My husband drank some rainwater and has been having severe diarrhea. Does anyone have medicine for it? Why isn't the rescue team here yet? Are they really going to let us all wait to die? Soon after, the water level rose to the 6th floor, and mobile phone signals vanished. Communications were completely cut off. The constantly popping messages in the community group came to a sudden halt, stopping at one final message: help, the people in the building seem trapped on an isolated island. The situation on every floor became an unknown. One day, Mom and I were tending to the vegetables on the roof when someone knocked on our security door. Is anyone there? Help! Mom was just about to go down and check the situation, but I grabbed her. Mom couldn't bear it. He sounds so pitiful. I gestured to Mom to keep quiet, signaling the dirt left on our hands. He's staring right at the door. If we go downstairs now, he'll definitely discover we are using the roof to grow vegetables. He might use that to threaten us and latch onto us, or tell others to gather a crowd to rob us. Driven to a dead end, it's not surprising how cruel people can become to survive. Look, he climbed floor by floor all the way to the top. Has anyone helped him? I said seriously. At a time like this, We cannot bet on humanity, and we cannot afford to lose. Mom was silent for a while and finally let go of her bleeding heart. The person knocked on the door for a good while. Seeing no one coming out, they thankfully left. A month passed. The moisture in the hallway stuck to the walls, and blue-black mold patches grew at the doorway, scattered like stars across the floor. Because I had set up moisture control tools in advance, the inside of the house remained dry. The vibrant green vegetables were growing wonderfully. They were already as long as an arm. Mom and I took scissors and harvested them batch by batch. Stir-fried seasonal greens, vegetable pancakes, sesame dressing salad. It sounded delicious just thinking about it. The mushroom spawn bags also sprouted caps of varying sizes. We harvested them in batches to make salt and pepper oyster mushrooms, to cover up the smell of the food. Every time we cooked, I would put out bamboo charcoal to absorb the cooking fumes. After eating, we lived peacefully every day. However, downstairs, there was no such quiet tranquility. Every few days, we could hear arguments and fighting. The order in the building had completely descended into chaos. To survive, some people took up improvised weapons and ransacked floor by floor. However, climbing stairs is a highly energy-consuming action. Most people, after obtaining supplies, chose to settle down temporarily rather than continue exploring upwards. Our true crisis still came from our own family. I was calculating the time. Maternal uncle and his family wouldn't be able to sit still for much longer. One evening, cousin Jiabo knocked on our security door. Aunt Pai, are you guys okay? I walked out of the apartment. What's wrong, cousin? I haven't seen you for so long. I was worried something happened to you at home. Cousin Jiabo shook the security door. The door didn't budge an inch. Thank goodness this door is sturdy. Yeah, someone came up knocking a few days ago, scared us half to death. How are uncle and aunt? Do you still have food at home? Don't even mention it. Right now, we are almost out of even the expired snacks at home. Cousin Jiabo sighed heavily. I was worried about you guys, so I came up to check. The building isn't safe right now. I heard a few units got robbed. How about you move into my place tonight? I'll stay here and keep my aunt company. It seems they were ready to make a move on me. I pretended to be grateful, saying, sure, I'll go back and tell my mom. I asked cousin Jiabo to help me move my daily necessities over first, and he readily agreed. As soon as we reached his door, I saw a head poke out from the opposite apartment, staring at us with a foolish grin. Hehe, that's the neighbor's son, about your age. Just that his brain doesn't work too well. As he spoke, the malicious gloating on cousin's face was almost impossible to suppress. Don't worry, Pai, tonight you'll definitely get a good night's sleep. Hearing his words, I pulled out a small bottle of cola from my pocket. Cousin's eyes instantly lit up, asking in surprise, where did you get that? I hurriedly pulled him close, walked in, and closed the door before stuffing the cola into his hands, acting as if I was afraid of being heard. Keep your voice down. I secretly saved this and didn't tell anyone. I know cousin has treated me exceptionally well since we were kids, just like my own brother. As siblings, we should share our blessings, right? Cousin said nothing more, opened the bottle, and gulped it down fiercely. He hadn't had a carbonated drink for far too long. How could he possibly resist the temptation? After finishing it, he even hid the bottle in the cabinet. Pai, I'll remember your kindness. Saying that, he dug out a bottle of body lotion from a drawer. Feigning consideration, I don't want you to suffer. You'll definitely need this. I sneered, cousin, you really are so good to me. Thinking so thoroughly, but I couldn't possibly accept this. Cousin's body swayed. He reached out to grab something to steady himself but grasped empty air. I watched him collapse onto the bed, his face contorted in agony, clutching his head and curling into a ball. I took a towel and gagged his mouth, smiling. Don't worry, cousin. Tonight you'll definitely get a good night's sleep. Leaving the bedroom door slightly ajar, in a flash, I hid inside the bathroom directly facing the main entrance. Sure enough, it wasn't long before the disabled son from across the hall tiptoed in. After looking around, he plunged straight into cousin Jiabo's room. After a brief silence, harrowing whimpers echoed from the room. Maternal uncle and aunt heard the noise and came out of their bedroom. They immediately pulled out a key and locked cousin Jiabo's door from the outside. This won't cause a fatal accident, will it? Maternal aunt asked uneasily. Leave it be. Let's just pretend we didn't hear anything. Jiabo is right. We've done all we can for Wu Fang and her daughter. This time, consider it their way of repaying us. After saying that, maternal uncle dragged his wife back to their bedroom. It wasn't until noon the next day. Maternal uncle specifically called Mom. Wu Fang, go wake Pai Pai up. Mom was puzzled. Pai Pai is already awake. She's upstairs. What? Maternal uncle and aunt stared at each other in shock. Then who was in the room last night? They barged into the room and immediately got into a brawl with the disabled man. The disabled man's parents heard the commotion, rushed over, and also joined the fight. I silently hung up the phone. Birds of a feather flock together. Let them destroy each other. And so 3 months passed. Everything below the 10th floor was a bottomless abyss. The water vapor rose and condensed into rain again. This rain, carrying pathogens, continued to erode all signs of life. The air outside seemed permeated with a rotting, sour stench. Filtered and sterilized water could only be strictly reserved for drinking. Crops, washed by the dampness, turned yellow and started rotting. Fortunately, I had stockpiled enough food in advance. I wonder how everyone else is doing. Mom said melancholically. I never imagined a natural disaster could make human hearts so terrifying. Holding the warm food in my hands, I said, the important thing is that we can survive. Until the 4th month after the rainstorm began, a powerful hurricane from the ocean swept in, blowing away the dark clouds shadowing the sky overhead. The sky cleared and the water level finally stopped rising. Before long, sirens echoed from afar. Attention all citizens, we are the rescue team. We are now here to help everyone evacuate. Please remain calm. We will take everyone to safe locations in batches. Prioritizing the elderly, children, and the injured, Mom and I pushed open the window and shouted loudly at the people below, finally drawing the attention of the rescuers. We were saved. The moment we stepped onto dry land, the tension finally dissipated. I held Mom's hand, carrying Dudu in my arms, my heart filled with the relief of surviving a catastrophe. It's great to be alive.